So, Rex, how have you been? We've talked a little bit more recently than normal, but we haven't really how have you been? How's life?
I've been pretty good for the most part. I went to an early screening of Transformers: Rise of the Beast, so that was pretty fun. That
How was that?
was all right. That was all right. I had fun. Not quite as good as I was hoping, but I still enjoyed myself.
Right. I I'll probably eventually watch it, but I don't know. There's something about it that just doesn't feel like it's going to be Bumblebee to me. I love Bumblebee. Bumblebee's a great
Bumblebee was
Transformers movie.
amazing. I loved that movie.
Like that is the pinnacle version of how Transformers should be in live action, I feel.
Oh, I'd agree. That just I had low expectations for that film, and that one just absolutely surprised me. I loved it.
Likewise, and I want to be excited for Transformers 1.
Like that prequel animated one.
Yeah, with Chris Pratt voicing Optimus Prime.
Hemsworth.
Oh, that's right. Chris Hemsworth voicing Optimus Prime. I
And
don't
isn't
know how
it
to feel
Brian
about
Tyree
that.
Henry doing Megatron?
I'm pretty sure. It's in Scarlett Johansson's in it, and they're
Oh
saying
my
it's the
god.
first ever
First
animated
ever
movie.
animated Transformers movie.
I love so when that story ran, there was like the Twitter actually bubble, and it was
Yeah.
like actually there's a 1985 movie titled The Transformers the movie, which is the actual first Transformers animated movie. I was
And
like,
first Transformers movie.
this is true, and it's the best. You're not agreeing with me.
I haven't seen it.
You're
I was
joking.
very tempted to watch it the day before I saw Rise of the Beast, but I didn't do it. I'm sorry, man.
It's amazing.
I've
Like the
I've seen
soundtrack.
I've seen one season of G1 and I've seen about 12, 15 or so episodes of season 2. That's my
Well,
experience of
this
G1.
this is in between season 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's why I haven't watched it.
Well, you need to because it's
I know.
like the soundtrack, the colors, the animation's sometimes shoddy, but it's still great. It's done by Toei, so it's technically anime, and it's Orson Welles' last film.
Hmm.
It's got Leonard Nimoy. It's great.
Oh yeah, Leonard Nimoy, doesn't he voice
Galvatron.
huh.
And then Leonard Nimoy came back in
Sentinel,
Dark of the
yeah.
Moon to voice Sentinel Prime. And Optimus turned to the dark side when he obliterated Sentinel and then brutally murdered Megatron, which I'm pretty
Yes,
sure is a war
definitely
crime.
against Sentinel.
Ah, God. Gotta love the
That's such an
Bayformers.
American action movie
Well,
way of just the villain surrendering. All right, let's just shoot him.
I mean, when you're fed up with somebody, eventually it's like, you know what, dude?
I
I'm
mean,
tired of you.
Bayformers Optimus was just slowly growing into a psychopath. So,
And then he turned into one during the
yeah,
fifth one
basically. Mm.
because of Dark Energon, right? I don't
I
remember the
watched.
fifth
I
one, to be
rewatched it not
honest.
too long ago, like probably 4 months ago. It was awful.
I mean, after I feel like the second one has its merits. The third one's just
The third one has a
boring,
wild first
and then
act, and then kind of just becomes really disjointed.
Age of Extinction is awful for one reason and one reason only. For me, it's when Optimus Prime slaps
Ah,
Grimlock. But no, I strongly dislike just that scene,
Hmm.
just that one scene. And then suddenly the explosions come from dirt, which
Yeah.
is weird.
I mean, from what I recall, that kind of happened in a few of those Bayformer films, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Explosions come out of nowhere. So yeah, no, that's the sole reason why that's awful. Um, Drift is really cool. I
What
like
is that?
Autobot
Is that Ken
Drift,
Watanabe?
voiced by Ken Watanabe. Yeah, but in both movies, he's basically like 2 lines and done. He barely does anything, and it's like,
He
"What?"
gets at least 4 lines in Age of Extinction, which, which
At
frankly,
last.
which frankly is more than some of the Maximals get in Rise of the Beast.
Oh god.
Bro, Rhinox says like maybe I swear he says like maybe 1 line. I wasn't even sure if
Mhm.
he had a voice actor until
Hmm.
like
Maybe
near the
they
end.
maybe they just had an AI do it.
I mean, I think it's also because they cut like him and Cheetor's first scene as well.
What?
So like they don't cut the scene in its like the scene in the trailer in like the very first trailer where like
Where they're
Rhinox
jumping on top of
where
the
like Rhinox is in like a cave and he roars.
I think so,
Yeah,
yeah.
that so that scene is in the movie, but like, and like I hear from test screenings, Rhinox and Cheetor are supposed to be in it, which makes sense because the environment matches. But like Rhinox and Cheetor don't show up in that scene. It's just like the little Terracon drones, and Rhinox and
Hmm.
Cheetor don't like show up until just after when Primal like jumps out in front of the main characters in the jungle.
So, like, here's the thing. Beast Wars is arguably one of the best written Transformers shows.
So I've
Um,
heard.
it's like it world builds and it connects to the past stuff and it creates a whole it's so interesting.
Mhm.
Um, and like there's a certain character that dies. I'm just gonna say certain
I
character.
already know
Anybody
who
who
it
has
is.
seen the show,
Having not
oh
seen it, I
well,
know who it is.
well, there's a certain character. Anybody who knows what I'm talking about knows what I'm talking about. That's actually my personal favorite. And there is an episode solely dedicated to him and his death. Like normally it'd be like kind of like split and like it'd be like a side part of an episode with all the main characters, but they devote and like the whole like the season develops him so well.
Mm.
In the seasons he's in, he's very well developed. Um, and he's given like he has motives, he has relationships with all the characters,
Mm.
he has his backstory, his background, and you understand who he is and what he does.
Mhm.
And it all comes together in a grand finale where he kicks butt,
Mm.
but it's too much. And I remember like every time I watch Beast Wars, because when I watch Beast Wars, I have to watch the whole thing. It just feels wrong watching 1 or 2 episodes. Every time that episode comes on, I cry because like the writing in that episode and like the whole like everything leading up to it is just so good.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of callbacks and a lot of references and a lot of cool stuff that just it is a very solid, very nice entry into the Transformers series. A lot of people might not like the animation,
Mhm.
but like at least I remember being able to like disregard the animation every time I've watched it. Like
Mhm.
it's obviously from the 90s. It's obviously a little low budget. It doesn't look the best,
Yeah.
but I think it still looks really good.
Mhm. I mean,
So,
Transformers has never really had the most pristine animation, at least not at that time, you know.
right.
G1,
And
as love it as much as we both do, has a lot of animation mistakes that are plain
yes.
as day.
Yes. And and I'd argue really the only and okay. I just had like 5 thoughts trying to come out at once. So Transformers has never been something that's like revolutionized the film industry.
Mhm.
It definitely revolutionized the idea of using toys for a show.
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest example of that, followed by like GI Joe. Um, but it honestly, and besides the Bayformers, I feel like Transformers has always just been kind of the middle ground of like this is on par effects with what's out at the time.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like, it's fine. Like, it doesn't have to be state of the art, top, brand new, like revolutionizing. The Bayformers definitely was that when they first started.
Yeah.
With all the intricate transforming and moving parts in CGI, and it looks pretty like
Oh yeah, those
convincing.
first three especially, like their visual effects have aged really well for the most part. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously there's a couple things that are dated, like obviously. That's just inevitable, but for the most part they've aged quite well visually, just like on the actual merits of, you know, all the details that they put into it.
Right. I would say that both Transformers and the first three Pirates of the Caribbean films will definitely, like, they were after CGI had like came to a good spot to be convincing.
Hmm.
Because like Peter Jackson did a great job with like Lord of the Rings and King Kong, but the CGI was still developing.
Yeah.
But like right after that, we had very, very good, convincing CGI, which we saw in Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3, especially, and the Transformers movies, which was like 2006, 7, 8, 9, and 10,
Hmm.
and 11. And then what's weird is something happened, and I would call this the Marvel effect. Following like 2014, because I think Guardians and Godzilla 2014 also have really good effects.
Yeah.
But following that, the post production window shrunk on everything. It feels like everything's more rushed. It looks a little less polished. It
Mhm.
looks a little less properly composited in, and it definitely, like, film has suffered in the last, I would say, almost 10 years because of the Marvel effect and that rushing of post production.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely been noticeable. I mean, it's, I'll give like 4 and 5 this. There is a dip in quality of the visual effects, but it's not super noticeable in those
I
films.
would agree.
But I'll definitely say Rise of the Beast does have a couple moments where I'm like, yeah, the Bay films like had better visual effects, you know. Now,
Hmm.
granted, it's not as bad as when the second trailer first released for Rise of the Beast, because there are some shots in that second trailer that look really unfinished, and some of them are the final versions that appear in the film. Some of them have been far and away improved. Thank God.
Okay.
I'd say visually the film looks pretty good for the most part, but it's definitely like, as you sort of said with G1, where it's like it's kind of on par with what it's coming out with.
Right. And like, and it's okay. Like, it's fine that that's the way it is. I feel like at that point you can't really, I mean, it is on par. So like, it's not awful, it's not great. It's your standard CGI.
Yeah.
Like, the Planet of the Apes films is a great example of what was on par, and then I think War for the Planet of the Apes, and the last one in that trilogy, is a great example of like how far the CGI went and how amazing, if you take time and develop your film and have a large enough post production window, how amazing it can look.
Oh, definitely.
Because like Rise of the Planet of the Apes doesn't look bad, but you can tell the monkeys are CGI. And come War, like, some people think they're legitimate apes, and that's amazing. Like, that's really, like, it's obvious and clear that you can make great CGI.
Mhm. I mean, from I haven't seen it myself, but from what I hear, the new James Cameron's new Avatar film looks visually magnificent, and especially in how its depiction of water is just absolute top of the line, has changed how people sort of look at CG water in films. For some people, even.
Huh. See, I still need to watch that movie.
Yeah, same.
Um, I wasn't a huge fan of Avatar, so
It
I
was
wasn't
okay, the
rushing to
first
see it.
one. It was okay.
It feels like James Cameron just did Aliens, but changed the script. I mean, it's got the power loader, it's got a
It's true,
race of
it does have the power
aliens.
loader.
So, like, it has Marines with flying ships.
Mm,
You know, it's got a lot of the stuff from Aliens, which
mm,
Aliens is amazing. That's peak cinema right there.
I agree.